Hey everyone, this is Goober from FactionFiles.com, and this is going to be a very basic Red Faction level editor tutorial. If you've got some experience with the editor, you can probably skip this video, but maybe you'll learn something. But really, this is for beginners, for people just starting out. So I wanted to go through and make some ramps. Ramps are something that obviously are going to be a critical part of a lot of levels. However, I do notice a lot of people, especially in older maps, not really making them properly, making them either by like rotating a box or something like that, and then you end up with misaligned geometry and holes and a whole bunch of bad stuff. So I just wanted to go over 4 different methods to make a ramp, all of which are perfectly valid, and you may alternate between them depending on the use case. But either way, let's get started. So I've got my 4 different types of ramps made over here. We're going to replicate those 4 different types over here. So first, I'm going to make my cookie cutter the correct size and move it into place. I'm editing the values over here in the brush properties tab of the brush mode panel. Then I'm moving my cookie cutter into place with nothing selected, holding the M key and using the arrow keys in one of my 3 orthographic views, top, front, and left. So I'm just going to set the the brush type to solid, and I'm going to create brush. Then if I build, I now have this box here. So this is what we're going to use to create our first ramp. So the first method that I'm going to show you is clipping. So if I go over here to the front view, you can see that we have a side-on view of what's going to be our ramp. Basically, we're going to take, you should be able to see my cursor. We're going to split this brush, and we're going to take off this entire part up here. So the player is going to be able to walk up. So to do that, I'm going to click the clipping tool. I'm then going to, in my front view here, I'm going to click 2 points. I'm going to then get a blue line between those 2 points, and it's going to have a line coming out and another blue line coming out perpendicular from the line that I created with my 2 points. That is going to be the direction that the clip is going to occur. So in this situation, I'm going to hit cut brush, and everything on top of this brush, everything in the direction of this perpendicular line is going to be deleted. So I'm going to click that, and there we go. Now if I build again by pressing spacebar, as you can see, we have our ramp. Okay, so that's our first one done. Secondly, we're going to use brush mode face mode or vertex mode to make our next one. So I'm just going to create brush here. After it's created, I'm just going to move it up here just so that we have a place to work in. Build again, we have another box. I'm going to go into face mode, and I'll show you this way first. I'm going to select this face on the very end, move my cursor over into one of my side views here, hold the M key and press down 4 times. That is going to drag the brush down like that. Now, I'm just going to undo that, and I'll show you another way to do it with vertex mode. So, vertex mode, basically same thing. I just need to select all the vertices on this side of the brush. And the exact same thing. Hold M and press down. So it's effectively the same thing. Vertex mode gives you a lot more flexibility though, because for example, I could just drag the top 2. One thing you do want to be careful of when you're doing vertex editing though is that you never want to move vertices on top of each other like that. You never want to do that and then let go of the M key. If you do, you're likely to end up with brush problems. So I would very, very highly recommend not doing that. So anyway, let's just go back to face mode and redo our change. There you go. So I drag that down. That is our second type of ramp. Now I'll just throw in a bit of a bonus here. You can also, after you do this, if you wish, use the clip tool and clip off the bottom here. Same principle as before, just I'm clipping off the bottom instead of the top. If I do that, there you go. Now if I go back into vertex mode so you can see the wireframe, effectively this brush here now is the same as my other brush, the one that I made via the clipping tool. The only difference is the texturing, but we'll deal with that in a different video. All right, the third method for our ramp. So I'm going to create the same cookie cutter brush. I'm just going to move it up here so that we have a place to work in. Same thing, starting with, oh wait, hang on, I need to change the type to solid. Okay, there we go. Same thing as we had before. I'm going to stretch this. I'm going to hit the stretch button here. I'm going to set the height to 1 meter instead of 4 meters. That's going to shrink down this box that we're working with. I'm going to hold the M key in one of my side views and move it up 3 so it is flush with the top here where we're going to be walking on the top of our ramp. Now, this is very similar to the ramp that we made a second ago, where I'm just going to go into face mode, select the end face here, move it down 4 times. The reason why I'm showing you this separately is because this is a ramp where you can walk under it. This is if you want to just like have a ramp under that the player can walk under, or maybe you want to put an item under it, or something like that. But either way, you're completely free to do that. And likewise as before, if you wish, you can clip off the part of this that is under the level. Depending on your use case, you may wish to do that, you may not. If this is going between 2 elevated platforms, maybe you can see that part, so you wouldn't want to do this. And our last method over here, which is one that I don't use very often, just because it's more work, to be honest, and there's no real benefit a lot of the time, but I'll show you it anyway just because it can be useful in certain cases. So, same thing, create my brush, move it up there. I'm going to go into Vertex mode for this one. I'm going to select the top vertice on this edge here, or vertex, sorry, and then I'm going to hold Control and select the bottom one. I'm going to hit the weld button. I'm going to do the same for the other one here on this same face. Hit the weld button. This gives us effectively the same thing. The only difference is we have well, our faces on the top of our brush here became triangulated. And that's because if I undo one of those, at one point this happened. So the editor needed a way to basically render these 2 faces after I had welded the 2 of these. So it created an edge in the middle of my face. That is unavoidable using this method. You can then get around it if you like by just going back to face mode after this is done, clicking on these 2 faces with Control held down and hitting combine. As long as they are coplanar, meaning they could form a single face that is on the same plane, it will then allow you to combine them, and then I build, and it's effectively the same as before. Like I said, though, that is usually more steps than the others, so I tend to shy away from it except for some very specific use cases. But either way, there you go. There are 4 different ways to make a ramp in the Red Faction level editor. You may choose to use any or all or just 1 or 2 of those depending on the use case, but anyway, I hope this video has been useful for you in learning some basic brushwork tips. Be sure to join the Red Faction community Discord. I'll put a link to that down in the description. Also, be sure to check the Red Faction wiki for additional information and tutorials on level editing in Red Faction. I'll see you next time.